because I didn't have no food or no money. I ran away because I was tired of being prosecuted over and over. I ran away for my life. Is that a crime?
Over the past 10 years, we have observed the arrival of migrants to the European continent from different parts of the world, from North and Central Africa, Middle East, and Central Asia. All of us have experienced some feelings about these people at least once. We might feel a sense of solidarity, or we might feel indifference. We might feel confused, or we might feel that we want to do something, but we don't know what. We might feel even threatened by those people coming to our countries. But then the question is, where do these feelings come from? We are surrounded by an enormous amount of indirect information about them, but do we really know who they are and what their story is? What is the procedure they have to go through when they step foot onto European soil? A lot of European citizens from different parts of the continent feel frightened by migrants. Their fear often results in requests to the governments to protect the local society and preserve it as it was in the good old times. In the Netherlands, exit polls since 2004 indicate that the right-wing party PVV, whose current leader is Geert Wilders, has been consistently gaining political popularity. In the last 3 months of 2015, Wilders has reached a maximum peak of followers. His attitude towards the refugee crisis is what gave him support of the masses. As an Italian living in the Netherlands, I wanted to understand a bit more not only about the refugees themselves, but also who is around them. On the 15th of November, I went to a demonstration in Den Haag to find out what promoters and supporters of the PVV party had to say.
Dames en heren aan de zijkant, komt u alstublieft even naar de voorkant van de tent. Niet alleen, ik kan niet alleen, niet alleen. Alleen op dit moment zijn alle vluchtelingen helemaal zielig.
Ja, ik ook.
De echte vluchtelingen moeten wij echt wel helpen. Alleen die zitten helaas nog in Turkije of in Libanon in kampen. Terwijl de criminelen en de rijken die reis kunnen betalen.
De vluchtelingeninvasie is niet alleen een financieel, maatschappelijk en sociaal belasting voor Europa en Nederland, maar zorgt ook nog eens voor een enorme instabiliteit.
Die niet in onze cultuur horen. Want ja, cultuur hebben wij ook. Waarom wordt de gewone burger de dupe van jullie slinkse trucjes? Wij moeten alles pikken. We worden uitgemaakt voor racist. We worden in hokjes gestopt alsof we niets voorstellen. Maar juist wij krijgen gelijk.
Voor de vluchtelingen is niets te gek. Alles kan en alles mag. Zelfs protesteren zonder vergunning.
Welkom in Nederland.
Overheid, geef uw bevolking daar nou eens antwoord op. Recht op bescherming van onze overheid. En we hebben het recht om uit de Europese Unie te stappen. Want dit is een democratisch land.
Back in Eindhoven, I had the chance to meet with Sjoerd, a politician from the Dutch Labour Party PvDA. A couple months earlier, he decided to take a personal initiative towards the migrants arriving in Eindhoven. He decided to break the wall between Eindhoveners and asylum seekers living in the reception center in the north part of the city. He founded a group called Vrede en Vriendschap, that means peace and friendship.
Nou, ik heb al eerder gezegd door contacten te leggen, direct in de buurt van het AZC. Dus ik kom uit de wijk Achterbarrier en dat ligt eigenlijk tegen het AZC aan. En daarnaast heb je Bliksembos en En die hoek, daar hebben we geprobeerd met allerlei activiteiten om daar mensen te leren kennen en de activiteiten mee te ontplooien. En dat gaat goed. En nu willen we graag heel Eindhoven eigenlijk confronteren, maar dan in positieve zin met onze nieuwe buren. En de laatste activiteit die we in die richting hebben gehouden, dat is de Vredesmars geweest in november. En waarbij we hier vanuit het stadhuis naar het 18 septemberplein zijn gelopen, achter een groot spandoek, op weg naar vrede en vriendschap. En het verrassende aan die tocht was dat wij op Koopzondag was het toen, dat we met een clubje van 50, misschien 75 mensen vertrokken van het Stadhuisplein. En toen we op het, na een kilometer op het 18 septemberplein aankwamen, waren er 360 mensen, geloof ik, die zich bij ons hadden aangesloten. Dus er is draagvlak om met ons samen op weg te gaan. Dus dat geeft ons ook eigenlijk de motivatie om de rest van Eindhoven ook kennis te laten maken met onze nieuwe buren van het AZC.
Thanks to the Vrede and Vriendschap group, I had a chance to meet different migrants living in the asylum center in Eindhoven. One of them is Jalal, a Syrian who obtained the refugee status and is now waiting to get a house from the Dutch government.
In each section we have a kitchen. Let me show you. Where is it?
This is where you
cook.
You can cook by yourself.
Food. Yeah, I make food.
So you're all independent. I mean, you have to cook by yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Do you like this place? I mean, what do you think? It's really far from the center.
It's good, but the problem is here you're unstable, which means you're not in your house. You don't have the same privacy or as you get it in your house.
Yeah.
So, and we have been waiting for a long time, but because maybe we are the city that we are selected to is very big. It's Den Haag.
Yeah.
So it's a big city, very crowded city. So it's a reasonable reason why we are too late.
Yeah.
The same day I interviewed Jalal, Sjoerd, and all the volunteers organized a simple get-together outside the center to let the asylum seekers meet their Dutch neighbors and vice versa.
Hello. So, can you speak English?
Have you proved it?
Not yet. And you were first time?
First time.
First time.
In my life.
In your life. So it's a good.
It's a premiere. Thank you. That is very special work. Je bent hier langs de kant ben je betrokken van het.
We zijn een kleine groep en we kunnen het niet allemaal alleen. Dus je hebt gewoon mensen nodig die verstand hebben van communicatie. Die helpen bij reïntegratie. Dus ook van professionals, maar dan niet vanuit een professionele kant, als vanuit een werkgeverskant, maar gewoon in een vrije tijd, zoals ik het ook in mijn vrije tijd doe, dat als raadslid. Maken van de social media, zoals het zo mooi heet.
Ja.
Maar ik ben natuurlijk daar niet zo heel geweldig goed in. Dus ik probeer mensen te vinden, jonge mensen die zeggen van een website, Sjoerd, oh die hebben we zo gefixt. Dus dat is ook een hoofdactiviteit voor 2016.
If you want to move from Syria to Germany or Netherlands, and you want to officially, like you want to take a flight, and you want to go to Germany.
You can't.
How you can't?
If you apply for a visa in the Italian embassy somewhere, they will not give it to you because it's closed in Damascus. I don't know if it's open or not yet.
Yeah.
And if you apply, for example, in Beirut, they will not give you because they know why are you getting this visa. It's not a tourism visa. It's not a working visa. So people have to do it illegally.
So that's the situation. So, There is no way to do it legally, and then you end
No,
up...
there's no way, absolutely.
The Vrede and Vriendschap group was also present at the City Hall in Eindhoven during the Democracy Day, a fair where all the political parties have an opportunity to present their political agendas to their citizens. Sjoerd decided that it was worth letting his volunteers, locals, and asylum seekers be visible to all the parties. Among them I met Talal, a Syrian refugee who has lived in the asylum center for a year.
So what were you doing back in your country? Were you studying, working, or...
Yeah, in Syria. Studied business administration there. And graduated from business administration and work as in the human resource department.
Okay. Where, in which city?
Damascus.
And when did you decide that it was the moment to leave? How did you...
Yeah, because even though you're still in Syria, but I think there is no future for young people trying to build their future and complete study. Yeah, maybe you are getting work, but it's not enough to make something in the future.
Okay. Are you also working now or not?
No, because working here, first of all, you have to work, but you have to learn the language first.
Yes.
Yeah, and sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's
and we have 3 years.
Yes.
Starting from the date you got the permit to integrate, which means integration. It means to get the Dutch language, to have a specific level in it, and to be nice, which means you have to be common with the Dutch nationality, with the Dutch social
status.
Yeah. To be friendly, you have to be as well as almost Dutch.
Yeah. You still get the pocket money?
Yeah.
Even you got the asylum document, you still get the pocket money.
Sure.
So there is no time limit till when they're gonna give you the pocket money.
Till you are able to start working, then you have to find a job.
Yeah.
You can keep taking the out carry, but which is the pocket money, it's the limit.
Yeah.
So, but no one can say I don't want to work. He have to work. If you didn't find, there's an out carry. But to get this out carry, there are some conditions. For example, you have to show the organization which gives you the out carry that you have applied at least 4 times for a job in a month.
When you arrive here in Netherlands, where did you go at first? Because you arrive in a country and then...
Yeah, every refugees come to here, they must go to a place that Jalal. It's like a gathering refugees people. They must go to there and stand there, and there is some procedure, and they will invite you to another camps.
Okay.
Ja, soepel te laten verlopen. Dat het niet een probleem is, maar een uitdaging is om een positieve bijdrage te leveren aan dit hele vluchtelingenvraagstuk. Want je kunt het mondiaal bekijken, maar dat los je niet op. Laten we dus gewoon bij huis beginnen, thuis beginnen en bij de stad beginnen. En laten we Eindhoven, die toch bekend staat als een soort broedplaats, een open lab voor allerlei activiteiten, maar dan vaak op technisch gebied, maar ook op sociaal gebied. Nog meer, als dat het nu het geval is, ook op dat gebied vooruitstrevend zijn en ook een voorbeeld wil zijn.
In the Netherlands, as well as in all other European countries, the government has specific power in order to accept or refuse asylum seekers. All asylum seekers must lodge their asylum applications to the IND, at Schiphol Airport if entering by airplane, or at the Central Reception Center in Ter Apel if entering by land. Here, ID, travel documents, and fingerprints are collected. From that moment, the procedure starts. First, authorities check if the migrant already applied for asylum in one of the other European member states. If this appears to be true, the migrant is sent back to that country according to the Dublin regulation. Otherwise, the procedure of evaluation starts. Depending on the evaluation of the available documents, there are 2 types of procedures. Short-term procedure, an interview with the IND authorities is held, and information related to nationality, identity, reason to apply, and route to reach the Netherlands are asked. Long-term procedure from 6 to 12 months long in case the IND decide that more information need to be collected in order to make a decision. This is what Talal and Jalal have been going through. Both are called first instance decision. If the result of the application is positive, the asylum seeker is then brought to the Asylum Center, AZC, managed by COA. The total first instance decisions made in the Netherlands were around 20,000 in 2015. Around 16,000 migrants obtained a positive response, while 4,000 applications were rejected. Being rejected means becoming an illegal migrant. In the Netherlands, that means having no rights to receive any support from the government to live. The new place to live will be the street or detention centers where the migrant is prepared to be deported back to their country of origin. Luckily, according to European regulation, rejected asylum seekers can appeal to the court in order to verify that the IND took the right decision. In 2015, 60% of the first instance rejected asylum seekers that appealed to the court actually obtained the refugee status. I went to ask some questions to Sharon, a member of parliament for the Socialist Party since 2004 and spokesperson on the subjects of justice, immigration, asylum policy, and economic affairs.
One of the things that I criticize mostly is we call it landenbeleid. It means the country policies. For example, if you come from Somalia, a few years ago, Somalia was still, more than a few years ago, quite some years ago, Somalia was considered a very unsafe country. But since a few years, our Minister of Foreign Affairs says, well, it's not safe everywhere, but we can send people back to Somalia. I feel it is too soon. Same goes for Iraq. Only a year or two ago, we said Iraq is safe. People can go back to Iraq, except for certain provinces maybe. And look what is happening now. So I feel that the policies concerning the safety of countries need improvement, and we should not send people back to unsafe places as soon as we do, like Afghanistan, like Iraq, and like Somalia. And I predict that the same thing is going to happen to people coming from Syria within a few years. It's probably going to happen that no matter what countries are going to say, well, Syria is safe enough again. You know, there are some people are still living in Syria, and there are some regions where it's safe. So would you please go back?
All over Europe, movements supporting refugees are present. On the 12th of November 2015, I went to Nijmegen to a demonstration organized by Nijmegen Gastvrij, a social movement that wants to stop the tendency to think in terms of first and second class people with a more equal division of power and wealth throughout the world. They also promote the idea that all people should be able to move freely throughout the entire world in search of safety, freedom, and a better life. They also want to counterattack politicians that use facts that are misappropriated and which stimulate division between Dutch citizens and refugees, consequently spreading wrong information around the country. The group of rejected asylum seekers called We Are Here was present, and their spokesperson Maryama gave a speech. She is a Somali girl that escaped from her country after refusing to get married at the age of 16 with a 50-year-old man and head of the Somali fundamentalist group called Al-Shabaab. She has now been in the Netherlands for 5 years, but still no asylum has been granted.
Ladies and gentlemen, all the We Are Here, all the refugees, the Syrian, the We Are Here group, and all the people of Nijmegen, first of all, I would like to tell you, thank you all for coming here. We are the refugees who live in Amsterdam. We are a social movement called We Are Here. We have been in this country more than 10 years. Some of us even more than that. And ever since, we have never received any welcoming from the society that we live in. You see, the thing is, most of the time, what we always hear from people is that they are refugees, that we should be criminals, that we are illegal people, as if we are some sort of a disease. What people don't understand is the fact that we are people like you. We had countries, we were civilized, and we lived in systems, just like in the Netherlands. Educational system, political systems, you name them, all of them we had it. We had to run away from our own land, our own country, our own parents and families, our own culture, our own religion, and everything that actually made home for us. It was not easy. It never is.
Yes.
And then when we come here, we come with nothing. Just a few clothes on our back. We have no money because everything that we had, we actually used it on the way. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all human beings. We feel the same thing when we are angry, when we are happy, and when we are sad, and everything else. We are one in a million. We are all brothers and sisters, family. It's just that we come from different countries, and that does not make us actually different. It's just borders, for crying out loud. But what I would actually love to ask you is stop this hatred, because it doesn't do any good for anybody. It only creates rifts between us. It only creates violence among us. It will kill our humanity. It will kill what makes us to feel love, to see each other as brothers and sisters. If we want to have peace in this world, then it should start from you and me. It doesn't start from government and organizations and police and all that. It starts from you and me.
So we're very much against people being thrown out of shelters, even if they are illegal. We find that you have to ask people to work on a solution, which does not automatically mean leaving the country, but it can also mean applying for a new asylum request or undergoing medical treatment. Some people, especially if they have lived in the streets for some time or if they have been in war situations, do have severe psychological problems which need treatment, and if you don't treat these, if you don't treat them, they will not be able to gain control over their lives. So it all, it all has to work together to make sure that people get back in the saddle, make sure they have control over their lives, will be able to make decisions, cooperate with either attorneys who will help them to try and gain a permit or either go back to their country. I don't think you should try to force them to leave the country just by detaining them or by throwing them on the streets. As I said, I think you get more results if you try to work with people, if you get them the right help for any problems they have, if you make sure that you help them overview their whole situation, their life situation, try to motivate them to do the right thing. I think that's what's not only the more humane thing to do, it's also the wisest thing to do.
Exactly on this topic in April 2015, the European Committee for Social Rights concludes that the Dutch social welfare system violates the rights of irregular migrants. The report states that the Netherlands should provide shelter, clothes, and food for all rejected asylum seekers who are not entitled to reception conditions. However, on the 26th of November 2015, the highest administrative courts of the Netherlands allowed the government to refuse food and shelter to rejected refugees, if these refugees refuse to cooperate with their voluntary return.
Stop deportation! Stop deportation! Stop deportation!
The reason why during the demonstration people are shouting "Stop deportation" is because in some cases, those asylum seekers who have exhausted their options of appeal to obtain refugee status end up falling under the custody of the Repatriation and Departure Service. This is a government body that deports those asylum seekers back to their native countries if refugee status is not granted or declined. The question then is, when migrants are deported to their native countries, who is checking that these people are not killed, kidnapped, or tortured in the country where they declared it was unsafe for them to live?
When people have been forced or have left the country, have been forced out of the country, or if they have left the country voluntarily to their country of origin, no one checks if they are all right. It's one of the things that the Dutch government says we're not responsible for that. Sometimes, of course, we try, because I look into a lot of individual cases. I write quite a few letters to the State Secretary who's responsible for the immigration and asylum policies to ask him to personally look into a case and see if he can maybe, even though the rules say the person has to leave, if he can maybe be so good to reconsider and give this person a permit anyway, which means that I'm very often I'm in some way connected to people who stay behind in the Netherlands if a person, for example, is sent back to Nigeria or Congo or any other country. Which means that I sometimes do get information on what is happening to a person once he comes back to his country of origin. But and sometimes the situation is so bad that we actually ask the State Secretary even then to help a person come back. But this, however, never works. The Dutch government really feels that, and in a way, of course, it is the right thing to think this way. A government in a country is always responsible for the safety of its own civilians, and the Dutch cannot make sure that the civilians living in countries far away are safe. But I always feel that we should monitor what is happening to people when they get back, because it could help us improve our immigration and asylum procedures.
I kept in contact with Talal, and after a few months he sent me a message telling me that he and his sister got their own private accommodation in The Hague. I decided to pay him a visit to see how things were going.
Hey Talal, how are you?
Fine, you?
How is it going?
Good.
So, nice to see you.
Thank you, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. So Talal,
yeah,
you have a house.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about having to have your own house in Den Haag after you lived in the AZC for quite a while?
Yeah, of course, it's better than you stay in AZC and you get a new own house and start your new life. That's if you want to study, to go to school, to university, to find a job.
But who helped you to fund the house? Is it still COA that was involved, or there is any other organization?
Yeah, of course, COA is involved partly. That's to send the application. That's like a center. There is somewhere like a gemeente center that divide peoples, and these people maybe because I'm told in my investigations and procedure that I want to complete my study, master degree in business administration, that they put me here because I'm near Amsterdam, near Rotterdam, near Leiden, so it's a better place that I can complete what I want.
Do you also get the loan to study, or
yeah, there is an organization called DIO that help us to give us a loan for studying only the Dutch lessons. It's like 10,000 euro that you can achieve the B2 level, but it's like a loan, but if you fail maybe 3 times, I think it's 3 times, if you fail you must return it back. So if you pass, it's like a gift, because like you are able to integrate with us, and it's like a gift because you are pass.
Changing a bit the topic, are you aware of the fact that some people that are asylum seekers, they don't get to the process as you, or they don't get at the same stage where you are now, in the sense that some of them, they get refused the asylum, and then from that
asylum, that's the status?
Yeah, the asylum status, so they get refused, and then from that moment on, if they can go to the court and ask again to get asylum, but at the same time, if you finish all your, let's say, choices or your chance to get the asylum, from that moment on, you are illegal in Netherlands, and you have to leave. That's what,
within
4 weeks.
4 weeks. There is some people, he can't identify himself, like he's coming from Syria, and he didn't have a passport of an ID. Maybe there is some cases there is no any proof, and he's already, of course, Syrian, but yeah, he's in a bad luck, and sometimes it's unfair. So yeah, you know, the IND can't control every cases. There is also many difficult cases, but they can't control everything.
When we came here to the Western countries that stood so proud, saying that they are more human beings than people like us, countries like our countries, who say that they have violated a lot of human rights. But my question now is, now that I'm in your borders, as a refugee, as a human being, as a woman, a child, where is my human rights? Why are you violating it over and over? You put us in detention centers. You put us in the street, cold, no money, no food, nothing. You refuse to give us health care when we are sick. You refuse to give us any rights. We cannot walk. Even if we would love to, we cannot walk. At the same time, you don't want to help us. So when you say that you're actually talking about human rights, then what kind of human rights are you be talking about? Does it only have to state in your books and papers and show it to the rest of the world that you are more human than the rest? But when it comes to reality, when I am in front of your doors, then that human rights does not exist for you. Or do you actually believe that just because I don't have no document that says that I am a Dutch citizen, that I don't have any rights anymore, that I am not a human being? Is that the case? Because up until now, I can't understand what the problem is. I ran away from my country not because I didn't have no food or no money. I ran away because I was tired of being persecuted over and over. I ran away for my life. Is that a crime? Is that a crime?
دیشب زیر نور ما خوابیدم، خواب تو چشماتو دیدم، توی خواب لبهاتو بوسیدم، با یه بغض گنده از خواب پریدم. با مداد آبی و سفیدم عکس تو رو روی ما کشیدم، ابرومتو روی ماه پوشون تا سایه سیاهشو دیدم.